Welcome to the debut edition of the Growl.
I'm Aaliyah Jackson.
And I'm Matt McCurdy, and this is the Growl.
First, we take a look at one of the time-honored traditions in Mexico football, the 54 Bowl.
The Mexico high school football team will continue the tradition of the 54 Bowl football game. To get an inside look, we interview Coach Haig, Maverick Sadler, and Jacob Bradley.
What is the history of the 54 Bowl? I don't know the exact date that it started, but Fulton is one of our oldest rivalries. I'd have to look on the back of the sign to get all the dates that it was playing. But, when you look at the alumni of the school, a lot of them feel, Fulton is our rival. And over the past few years, we've added a couple more to that. But it's always a good game, always competitive. You kind of throw the records out the window, and it's just a fun rivalry. Why is Fulton our rival school? I just think because of proximity. I mean, at that time, we were bigger than Centralia, which is probably our closest school. But at the time, Fulton and Mexico were probably the same size and close. And so, being in the same conference and playing a lot, especially in other sports, just makes it easier as a rival. How many years we've won it, I do not know. I believe we have won it 8 in a row. So I think 2012 was the first year in the 8 series, and so I don't know how many overall. I'd have to look. What does it mean to us? I think winning, number one, winning the football game. Number two, you get to win the 54 sign, and you kind of get bragging rights for a year. I know some of our guys, hang out in Fulton a little bit and get to see the members of those teams, and we compete against them in other sports. So they get to, go around and maybe stick out their chest a little bit more when dealing with them.
It means a lot. Being from a different town, I don't know if I have as much passion for the 54 Bowl, but definitely from high school I am very influenced by everybody else. We're always hyped for it. It's always, we've had it for, I know, my high school career, every year. And so each year it's just kind of like been something that we always look forward to. And this year it's going to be even more special just because it's senior night. Everything's kind of going on. Yeah, senior night is ever since, because I won't play football after college or after high school. So senior night is kind of like one of those checkpoints that I'm kind of wrapping up like my career in sports. Not exactly, but I know it's been like at least 4 or 5 times probably.
What does the 54 Bowl mean to us? I feel like as a school it's very important because Fulton's a large. This game is a big game for me because it's my senior year and I've never lost to Fulton. Mexico's won the 54 Bowl 58 times.
Thank you, Matt McCurdy, Kat Arnold, and Carrie Burkhead for that segment.
Next, we meet Ava Wilson, an MHS sophomore struggling with cystic fibrosis.
This may look abnormal to the average person, but for this Mexico high school student, Ava Wilson, it's just her everyday life. Wilson was diagnosed at a very young age with cystic fibrosis.
Cystic fibrosis is a genetic progressive disease that is a salt and water imbalance that causes thick mucus to form all in your body because there's mucus everywhere in your body. It mainly attacks the digestive system and the respiratory system. So in your lungs, like the thick mucus plants itself in your lungs and it draws in harmful bacteria and it makes it a lot harder to fight off infections. And same with your pancreas, except in your pancreas it makes things not as easy to digest, so you need supplements like enzymes. So I feel like CF has affected me more now that I understand what the disease is, because while I was little I just thought everyone had to do these things, but as I've gotten older I've come to understand that only some people that have CF need to do all these things. I feel like I've been in the hospital a lot more and it's made me more aware and more grateful for I value life a lot more. I have to do a lot of things daily to just maintain my health now. So in the morning I have these box of pills and it says on one side it's AM, on one side it's PM. And in the morning I flip open that and it has about like 8 pills in it. So I take the 8 pills and then I do a Flovent inhaler. I do 2 puffs in the morning and I do my treatment, which is the vest, and it's like shakes you a lot. It tries to get the fluid and the mucus out of your lungs so you can like cough it up.
Does it affect your social life?
Honestly, as much as I don't want to say it does, it definitely does, because if all my friends are hanging out or something and I want to spend the night, I'll have to go home, do my treatment, take my medicine, take all the stuff for the next day. It's just a lot more complicated. I understand that like health is my #1 priority, but like it kind of sucks having to like do that before my social life, because I'm a teenager. I just want to hang out with my friends.
Not only have doctors, family, and friends helped her along the way, but her older sister Maddie has been a big supporter.
Ava and I both having cystic fibrosis has made us very strong. My mom decided that we have the same middle name because we have the same type of cystic fibrosis, so that is how we're similar in that way. And then from just going to doctor's appointments together, just doing the same routines and at home having the same things, it's just been great to have that extra support there because we know each other better than really anyone. Cystic fibrosis has affected me personally because, well, this year it's given me many opportunities for scholarships. So I've had the opportunity to apply for many scholarships that really other people can't apply for.
The mother of the children, Nicole, has been their #1 supporter. She's been with them every step of the way ever since her oldest got diagnosed.
You make a lot of changes when your kids have an illness that requires a lot of time, and I definitely cut back from work. I stayed home, worked part-time, had my mom come help. She pretty much came every single day, and then once we had 2 that had cystic fibrosis, it took a village, so it took a lot of family and friends, but everybody helped out.
In this situation, do you feel any guilt for your children?
Absolutely, we feel guilt for our children. You don't know that you're carrying the gene for cystic fibrosis. And back when we had our girls, they didn't do genetic testing to see if you would carry the gene or if your husband would carry the gene. But that's also something that's changed because of awareness. They do test that now.
Life has been a roller coaster for this family, but they stick together and are able to overcome the challenges life brings them. Currently on October 20th, 2019, Ava is in the hospital and we wish the best upon her.
I'm grateful for her.
That was a great segment, Aaliyah, and thanks to Lexi Willer as well.
Next up, Aaliyah Fountain, Logan Wilson, and Jocelyn Garcia take a look at the new cell phone policy at MHS.
Hi, I'm Jocelyn Garcia. Today I'll be interviewing Connie Bledsoe, Manuel Hernandez, Miss Howard, and Mr. Elsie this year.
I benefit from this update of this phone policy because I'm more focused and it's easier to pay attention in class.
This year.
I really don't think I benefit from it a lot, but we have the Chromebooks now, which I guess it's good in a way, but with many of the things blocked on the Chromebooks, it really limits you, so sometimes you really just have to use your phone and you're not able to because of the new policies.
I do not think there should be any changes because people are more focused on getting their work done without a distraction of the electronics.
Depending the circumstance, I understand that they have the policy for a reason to keep distractions away from the classroom, but I feel like there should be some limits to where you could use them because sometimes the Chromebooks have many websites that are blocked that are needed for school resources and you just can't use them because of the new policy. So you could benefit from your phone a little bit if it's for educational purposes.
I don't think it's very fair because I feel like everyone should get the time they need to get the work done and everyone should be off their electronics.
Well, I understand that they're educators and sometimes they don't follow the policy, but I understand that there's emergencies sometimes and however, if they're using it for just like social media purposes, I mean, they should lead by example and not do it. I understand that they have more authority over us, but they should at least use it for safety purposes or like school purposes.
Do I think that the new cell phone policy is helping students be more productive? I would say not only more productive, but frankly, I think that they're nicer. I think that students are talking to each other more. I think that they're not as tied up with what's happening on their phone. They're interacting with their other students more. I just find that the atmosphere in the school is just so much nicer. We had a lot of problems with the cell phones last year, and one of the problems that we were having was that there were fights being planned out on cell phones. There was bullying that was happening on cell phones. People were so distracted with their cell phones that teachers were feeling frustrated and other students were feeling frustrated because education wasn't happening. I don't think the cell phone policy had anything really to do with the Chromebooks. The Chromebooks was something that they had talked about for a while. I believe that the Chromebooks are a great tool. I personally find that they work really well in the classroom, and I like that the cell phones are away and people are functioning and interacting more with each other and using their Chromebooks as a tool.
It's still pretty early to tell what the what all impacts the products are. We're seeing some positive impact in terms of engagement in class and on-task behaviors. In terms of the outcome of that work, we're going to assume that there's going to have positive outcomes. But once we start getting through some official grade reporting periods, we'll have a better idea as to what that, as to some correlations between the cell phone policy and its impact on grades. Really, there was kind of an overwhelming sentiment from the adults in the building that the previous policy was difficult to maintain consistency with, and that was creating some confusion, which then leads to basically a deterioration of the practice. So, we changed the policy a little bit to basically go from the teacher had the discretion to allow kids to use the phone in class given there was something related to the phone that needed to be done, something on the phone that needed to be done, to where it is now, where it basically says we don't need that discretion. The individual teachers don't need that discretion. There should be no cell phones in class. One of the contributing things to that was the one-to-one initiative. Everybody should have a device in front of them all day now that would allow them to do anything that previously would have been used, the cell phone would have been used for. Yeah, well, I mean, we've had some students who have tested the policy. Anytime, it's kind of comes with the course. Typically, the way the teacher will handle it is they'll ask the student to put the phone in a safe place for the remainder of the hour so that it's not a distraction. And if the student struggles with that, then they come down and see one of us administrators, which we have a series of interventions or a series of consequences we use. The primary one is you lose your cell phone for the rest of the day, plus whatever the accompanying behavior was, whatever that lends itself to. For the cell phones itself, it's really, you give it to the teacher for the rest of the hour, the teacher puts it in a safe place for the rest of the hour, you don't have access to it, and you get it back at the end of the hour. If that doesn't work, then the next step is it comes down to us, and at least you'll lose your cell phone for the rest of the day. Usually there's a lot of times with those situations, unfortunately, there's other behaviors that accompany that cell phone issue that we have to deal with as well. So,
I'm Jocelyn Garcia, reporting for the Growl. Tune in next time.
Our last segment takes a look at the one-to-one Chromebook rollout at Mexico High School.
This year, Mexico High School implemented a one-to-one initiative with Chromebooks. Approximately 700 Chromebooks were distributed. This is Lindsay Yancey with an insight on why the Chromebooks were distributed.
I wasn't really part of the planning process of that. I believe they chose Chromebooks because we already had so many in the district, and so it was a tool we were used to. Another reason was that we are a Google in education school, and so obviously Chromebooks work really well with Google.
Think so.
I am not sure whether there's been a positive or a negative impact. From what I see, it looks like the Chromebooks are being used quite a bit, and students are doing a lot of work on them, so it's probably good, but you would probably want to talk to classroom teachers to see what they have to say. From what I understand, the policy for seniors buying their Chromebooks at the end of the year, they were given the oldest Chromebooks that we had. And so at the end of the year, I believe they'll get to buy them for a very small price, $20 or $25, something like that, so they can take them to college if they want. I think for some teachers, the adjustment to Chromebooks was easier because they had Chromebooks in their classroom last year. For those who didn't have them before, I'm not sure. They may still be working through it. To get ready for this process, the Wi-Fi and connection process had to be beefed up quite a bit. So the last couple of years, the technology department has done a lot of work to increase the bandwidth of our Wi-Fi periodically.
Teachers say that the Chromebooks are allowing for more student engagement and make it easier to distribute and receive classwork assignments.
I believe the Chromebooks that all the students get are a pretty good idea because now people can sit there and go home and work on their work, and even if they don't have Wi-Fi, it still has Drive, Sheets, Slides, and all of that, so we can all work on what we need to without having to be on an internet connection. The safety restrictions and the cases and all of that are there for a pretty good reason, i.e. the Chromebooks not getting broken, which is money that the school would have to be repaid, and just being able to use them is pretty much a privilege anyway, so the school can set any rules that they really want to.
How well do you think everyone is adjusting to the new Chromebooks this year?
Typically the people who have more experience with technology tend to adapt better with different technologies, so it's really just a social class thing. It's just some people have to try harder to adapt than others.
Okay.
In the future, the district plans to go one-to-one with all students. Reporting for the Growl, I'm Cole Yeager.
Thanks for that story, Tessa Hafling, Shard Mullen, and Cole Yeager.
And that's it for this week. Reporting for the Growl, I'm Matt McCurdy.
And I'm Aaliyah Jackson, and this has been your Bulldog Growl.